does a chronic illness flare really look like? Well, today I want to talk about what that looks like for me. I think I've shared a lot on this channel with what I've been dealing with, my doctor's appointments, everything I've been going through, but I don't really think I've ever talked to you guys about what my flares actually look like. So I want to share that with you. So this past weekend, I had a really big flare, and I just kind of want to rewind, walk through that with you and what that looks like. So I have my notes, just FYI, because as I've said many times, I like to go down rabbit holes. So these are my bullet points that I made to try to keep me on track. But Thursday night, I was doing really well. I thought I was making progress. I had been slowly reintroducing a little bit of cheese into my diet, and not full fat cheese, low fat and pretty much no fat cheese. I haven't had any dairy really since all of this started in January. And I have been making my family lasagna. I'm able to eat plain noodles just fine. So I thought, I'll just start trying little bites of little bites where it's just the cheese and the noodles, because we use low fat cheese. It's better for my husband's nutrition goals, all those things. And for the whole time, it was doing pretty well. I was taking little bites and a little bit bigger bites and everything was fine. Well, on Thursday night, I had been feeling really good. I thought things were going really well. And I had a normal full serving instead of just small amounts. And this still wasn't like a full serving, like I would have a whole plate of lasagna, but it was definitely more than I had been having. And I was fine. Everything was fine on Thursday night. But Friday morning, I woke up feeling incredibly sick. And for me, what a flare looks like, it can happen the day of, and it can be anywhere from like 30 minutes after eating to hours after eating to the next day after eating. And it really just depends. And I think because maybe it was a smaller amount, it didn't happen right away. But Friday morning, I woke up incredibly sick. I woke up beyond nauseated, cramping, pain all in my abdomen. I was having stabbing upper back pain. I get a lot of referred pain from where my gallbladder used to be and my stomach, and it goes up in between my shoulder blades and my middle back. And I knew the minute that I woke up that I was in full flare mode. And the really frustrating thing about the flares that I deal with is it's basically an emptying process for my GI system. I call it a GI dump. And if you've had your gallbladder removed before and then you went and ate something fatty, you know exactly what that feeling is right away. It is your system being like, can't handle this, it's too much, have to get it all out right away, all of it. The problem for me with dealing with PCS is that it usually ends up being an all-day thing that sometimes carries over into the next day. So what happened is Friday I woke up incredibly sick, and well, there's a couple variables, but I'll kind of jump into that in a minute. But I was incredibly sick, and it lasted for 2.5 days, essentially. And I'll talk about how that happens and why those variables are, but I kind of want to just talk about why it's so frustrating. And it's so frustrating because, it's not just that I have the flare and I'm now incredibly sick. That's obviously frustrating. But it gets frustrating for me, and where I get stuck is that I think I'm moving forward in something. Like I'm trying food and I'm doing little bits and little bits and little bits. And when I reach the threshold, or I learn this isn't going to work at all in normal amounts, it feels so much so like I just get smacked 20 steps backwards. Because after a flare, because it usually takes 1 to 3 days to come back to normal, it's like starting at the bottom again. And it's why it's taken me, February, basically 5 whole months to gain 5 pounds, because it turns into 3 days of losing everything, right? And it's frustrating because you make so much progress, like I'm doing so good, and then one flare, one choice, or too much of one thing makes me feel like I start back at square one. We're right back at the beginning. I have to have just broth, just crackers, if that. Sometimes that doesn't even work. and we're back at square one until everything is out, it regulates, the medications re-regulate because I have to take extra of those to navigate the flare, and we're okay, right? And that's why it's so frustrating, because there's so much a part of me that just wants progress to be linear. And for some things it has been. There have been some foods I found and I'm able to eat, and I just keep going and I keep eating them and everything is fine. And then there are some that are they're just not. It's just not how it works. And I think the biggest thing is the part that people don't see that comes with chronic illness is that it's not usually just being sick every day, right? Like, at least for me, it's not. Maybe for some people it is, but for me, it's that some days are completely normal and they're fine and the world is going just as it should. Some days are great and I feel like $1 million and I'm eating all the food, I got in 1,500 calories and I'm feeling great. And then there are days where your whole day is robbed. It's just taken away, and you don't know when that's gonna happen. You don't know if that's gonna happen. And granted, there are things that I can do that I know will make it happen, right? Like, there are foods that I know, but sometimes, because I'm still working it out with my specialists and all the medications I'm taking, sometimes it just happens. Everything will be going completely as normal, and something flared. It made the flare for some reason, or it was just the perfect combination of things, and my day is completely robbed. It's completely gone. And so it's frustrating, because with a chronic illness, you get into this groove of like, I'm finally getting my life back. Things are going really well. I'm feeling really good. And then bam, you're like, nope, I'm back at square one. Things are not good. I'm so sick. This is miserable. And it can be really hard to get a grasp and a perspective of valuing the good days and trying to let the bad days be just that and move on from it. The other thing that I'm still really struggling with dealing with this is understanding that I have a trust issue with my body. This is a really, really big one. And I mean, like I said, the big struggle is I just don't trust it. I don't trust my body. It makes it incredibly hard to plan things, because one, there's so much timing around the medications that I take. I have to take every single medication that I do in a specific amount of time, and I have to wait so many hours after taking one before taking another. And it's just, it has to be orchestrated just right to avoid catastrophe, essentially. So it makes planning incredibly hard. It also makes it hard going places because I don't trust myself. I talked about this in some of my shorts, but I still don't feel comfortable taking my kids alone somewhere where they wouldn't be safe if I had to run off to the bathroom. And I have an 8-year-old son and a 5-year-old daughter, and it's not like I can be like, yeah, son, just come to the women's restroom with me. Like, he's old enough now that that's not okay. And the problem is, when I have a flare, like, I'm down and out and I'm in the restroom for like 20-30 minutes. Like, I'm so sick. It's a huge problem. One, I don't want that to happen in public. I don't want to be in a public restroom. Nobody does. It's embarrassing. It's gross. Like, I just don't want to be there. And the biggest thing is, like I said, I can't just leave my children. I can't just be like, oh, mommy's sick all of a sudden, so, we're just in the mall or we're at this place, and you just have to stand outside the restroom by yourselves, make sure no one comes and talks to you, make sure no one takes you, make sure you take care of each other and you're okay. Like, that's not realistic. And so it makes me so anxious to be far away from home or be alone with my children and do anything. And so for such a long time now, we just don't. We don't go places far. We don't go places for long. And I for sure just don't take them places by myself. And that has made life extremely hard for them. And to be honest, like, it's not fair to them. And it's not fair because, there's just no knowing. And the lack of trust makes it hard for everybody. And, just for instance, like Friday mornings, we are supposed to go on our nature outing. We do little outings every morning because they're homeschooled and it's summer, but we're still trying to keep some stuff together. And on Fridays, we go somewhere not far, and we usually take 10 to 15 minutes and go do a little nature outing. Like, hey, we're at this park, you have to go find 4 flowers, a red one, a purple one, a white one, or whatever. Things like that. And they were so excited for it, and I couldn't do it. Couldn't take them. It just wasn't gonna happen. And it broke their little hearts, and it breaks my heart as a mom because it's not fair to them. But I also, there's nothing I can do about it. And I think that's something that people miss with chronic illness, is that it affects those around you. It affects your spouse, your children, your friends, anyone else near and dear to you, and you feel so guilty and you feel so bad that it just makes it frustrating. The other thing I kind of want to talk about with this flare particularly is that, and like I said, the thing that makes it so unpredictable sometimes is, like, I recently started taking new iron supplements because my ferritin is low, and those have really messed with my stomach. I've actually paused those for now to try and find something different. And I went like the safe route because I know iron can already cause GI issues on its own. Also, I'm taking different testosterone because my testosterone is completely bottomed out even after supplementing with something else. And I'm adding foods back in, and it's like, well, is it the combination of the medications? Is it the combination of the food all together? Like, is it one thing? Is it all of them? I don't know. I keep track, I write everything down, but there isn't always an answer. And it's frustrating not knowing, okay, like, yes, it was a little bit extra cheese, or was it 2 new pills and a little bit of extra cheese, or was it not the cheese at all? Was it just the pills? Which pill was it? And that's where it gets so hard, because I feel like for a lot of people, and I could be wrong, this is still new to me, but I feel like people with chronic illness, it's just this constant navigation of trying to find normalcy in life and to try and find, like, what makes me okay and what doesn't make me okay, and how do I know for sure what lands where. But I do want to say there have been some positives, and I don't want to be negative the entire time. But the positive thing is my weight has been holding around 106 to 108 pounds, which is really good because we started at like 102, which is not good at all. So it's good that I am not having so many flares that I'm losing weight, that the flares are only happening every, 3 to 4 weeks, and that I have medication that can kind of help me sustain and balance faster. So that is a positive note. Overall I'm up 6 pounds from when all of this started, which is great. We're trending in the right direction. And the good news is that it doesn't last forever right now. Like I said, like, I was out all day Friday, completely out on Friday. Saturday I was fine until I ate, and that's part of it. It's part of, like, bile is just dripping into my stomach. Even with the bile binders, I have to be careful because if I take too many, it can cause problems on the other end. So I'm supposed to just take a consistent amount. But because I was so sick on Friday, I didn't eat right away on Saturday. So it was late afternoon and bile had been dripping. And so eating, and all I had 2 pieces of toast, plain toast, and some bone broth. And that started a whole cycle of emptying and dumping and flare. Again, and being sick for about the rest of the day until about 8 o'clock in the evening. And so that was a whole nother afternoon lost because I'd eaten. And so, there was progress, and like I said, I have the bile binders now so that it's not every time I eat, and once they catch up and everything empties and we get kind of going and I can stably eat again, I stabilize. So I'm glad to have that so that I am able to sustain the weight that I have. But some things I'm trying to learn through all of this, which I mentioned earlier, is to really appreciate the good days and value the good days. And the other thing I'm trying to learn is to not hold on to the bad days. Because regardless whether the day is good or bad, it's going to come and go. Like, time moves on, the day moves on, we go to bed, we close our eyes, we go to sleep, we wake up the next day. And so it's really, this kind of goes back to the whole be where your feet are. But if it's a good day, be where your feet are. And if it's a bad day, you can be there too and be upset, but you have to remember that this day will end. And my husband says this all the time to me, but it really puts things in perspective. He says every good thing comes to an end and every bad thing comes to an end. And all you can do is try to live your best life in the midst of it. And it's true, because good things don't last forever and bad things don't last forever. And, you know, I'm really trying to take those to heart. I'm also trying to remember that recovery and progress are not linear. They're not linear, even though I want them to be. That's how my brain works. I need linear progression. That's how I operate. That's kind of the world that I live in. And with a chronic illness, it's not linear at all. It's the biggest hills and valleys I've ever seen, and it's just trying to navigate those. And I've been really trying to tell myself that it's okay. But that's kind of I just wanted to share what a flare looks like for me with the chronic illness that I deal with. I would love to know if you have some kind of chronic illness. Can you relate in any way? Like, what's been the hardest part of your journey for you? What's something that you're learning? I mean, you can drop those in the comments. I would love to hear, and I would love to know, because this is all new to me, and I'm navigating everything by myself, essentially, kind of, and just trying to figure it out. But I know it's a little bit longer of a video, but I just wanted to share. So thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.